We're back.
We back.
Night 2, SummerSlam. And boy, do we have a mediocre show on my end. I'm not gonna lie. But I hope SmackDown brings it.
Hey, we the main event, so hopefully we bring it.
Oh, he is, in fact, the main event. Hopefully, they don't get outshone by the first triple threat of the night, which is for the Intercontinental Championship. Let's just jump into it. Alright, the bell rings, and all men are just looking at each other. They all hate each other. Neither of them wants to work together. It truly is every man for themselves. Finn attacks Santos. Mox attacks Finn. Santos attacks Mox. All three in the middle of the ring. Every man hitting shots on each other until Mox hits a double clothesline on both of them. Finn rolls out the ring. Finally, Mox can focus all his energy on Santos, the man he thinks cost him this championship last time. And Santos can focus on Mox, who feels the same way about him. Mox goes to pick him up. Santos rolls out the way. Mox turns around. Santos goes for a Hurricane Rana. Mox catches him. He's about to go for a power bomb. Santos reverses into a roll up. One, two, kick out. Santos gets up. He get uh he gets up and he's about to attack Mox. When he's dragged out of the ring by Finn. Finn starts throwing him into the barricade and beating him down. When Finn turns around, Mox comes diving out of the middle rope and knocks Finn down. Finn gets hit with a paradigm shift on the outside. Mox goes to pick up Santos again. Santos is once again ready and slams Mox into the ring post. Santos looks under the ring, grabs a chair. Mox is still leaning up against the ring post. Santos goes to swing. Mox gets out the way. Santos hits the ring post. His hands are ringing. He drops the chair. He turns around and is hit with a paradigm shift. Mox throws him back in the ring, goes for the cover. One, two, kick out. Mox decides to pick him up again and go for it again. Santos counters this time and he picks up Mox to hit a phantom driver. He hits it. One, two, Finn breaks it up. He goes to pick up Santos. Santos rolls him up. One, two, kick out. Finn gets up. He's hit with a super kick. Santos goes to pick him up for a phantom driver. Finn pokes his eyes. Finn lands on his feet. He turns Santos around, hits a 1916 cover. One, two, Mox breaks it up. Santos rolls out. Mox starts laying out Finn. He climbs the top rope. He hits a diving elbow on a standing Finn. Cover. One, two, kick out. He decides it's over. He needs to end it. He doesn't go for a paradigm shift, however. He goes for dirty deeds. He hits it. One, two. Finn shocks Mox with a kick out. He doesn't know what he has to do. He looks around and he sees the championship on the outside. He goes to pick it up. He's setting up, ready for Finn to stand and charge him with it. Finn gets up. Mox charges Finn, but Finn hits a sling blade. Mox gets back up. Finn hits another one. Mox once again starts getting to his feet. He's near the corner. Finn charges. Shotgun drop kick into the corner. Finn is feeling it. The crowd is going wild. They're ready to see Finn retain. Finn starts climbing to the top. He's yelling at the crowd to make some noise. He's at the top. Mox quickly jumps up. He gets to the top rope. They start fighting on the top rope to gain the upper hand. Mox is finally able to rake Finn's eyes. He's about to suplex Finn off the top when Santos comes in and knocks them both off their feet. They both get crotched. Mox lands in the Tree of Woe. Santos quickly climbs up, hits a meteor on him. Mox rolls out the ring. Santos climbs back up, picks up Finn. He hits a phantom driver off the top rope. Cover. One, two, three. Here is your winner and the new Intercontinental Champion, Santos Escobar. Sant-
He's done it. He's found some success. Some said it could never be done, but he did it.
Just had to escape SmackDown. Santos celebrates with Legado at the top of the ramp. Finn is sitting in the middle of the ring, realizing he has lost his title after almost a year of holding it. While he's soaking in his own pity, Mox enters the ring and gets in his face. That's when Nakamura comes out to back up Finn. Mox still isn't backing down until the rest of the Undisputed Era comes out. Cole, Fish, JD, and Kyle are all out there now. Mox just staring Mox down. Mox finally starts to slowly back away. Finn, JD, and Nakamura are towards the back of the ring. Cole, Fish, and Kyle are near the side where side of the ramp is, just watching Mox, Mox go to the back. Mox is gone. Cole turns his attention to Finn. Finn and Nakamura are just sweeping glances across all of them. Cole finally goes up to Finn and says, "You know, we're only as strong as our weakest link, but that's okay. I forgive you. You're going to get that title back. Ain't that right?" Finn just shakes his head cautiously. Cole smiles and says, "Good. Come on. Let's ice you up." Cole starts walking to the ramp. Finn following a few feet behind him. When Cole super kicks Finn out of nowhere, he's looking at Finn on the floor in disgust. Redragon is ready to do what needs to be done when he gives the order. Uh, Cole looks at Nakamura and says, "You want to join him or you want to be part of history?" Nakamura looks at Cole, shakes his head, and goes down to try to check on Finn. "Wrong move," Cole says. Cole super kicks him. "Get them, boys." Redragon go on the attack, raining down punches on them all. Cole stomps on them. JD's just in the corner, shocked, not knowing if he should join in. That's the man that trained him. They've been through so much together. Cole realizes that JD's not doing anything and says, "Hey, what's going on? Come on, man, get in on this." JD just stands there, scared to move. "Fine, sit this one out, but only this once." They then tie Nakamura to the ropes and start beating down on Finn. They have chairs and kendo sticks. They're all leaving marks. Finn is down. He's not moving. JD has enough and just leaves. Redragon go to bring him back, but Cole says to leave him. He'll come to his senses soon enough. Redragon hit uh Redragon hit Finn with chasing the drag, followed by a dragon's flight. They clear off the announce table and they hit a dragon's flight through it. They throw him back in the ring where Cole finally lifts his hand in the air, points to the ramp, the Undisputed Era theme song plays, and that's when Roderick Strong comes out. He gets to the ring. Cole says, "Handle this." And the Messiah of the Backbreaker shows where he got his nickname from and just completely obliterates Finn's back with nothing but backbreakers and even puts him in a stronghold. Finally, Cole gets his hands dirty. He hits a last shot on him. Redragon pick up Finn one more time. Cole hits a Canadian destroyer on him. Nakamura is left there weakened, watching as Finn is completely destroyed.
Okay, Roderick Strong is back. Nice. Undisputed Era on top lasted for all of about 15 hours.
Yep.
They had one amazing post-show press conference after night one, and then Finn lost the title at the beginning of night two.
Exactly.
All right. Also appreciate Undisputed Era taking liberties with time there. I could tell which part of it you had written beforehand and which part you had to come up with.
It is what it is.
It's like, hey, that match was about 15 minutes. God damn, they've went 20 minutes on this aftermatch segment. It's
For the Roman Reigns.
just, like we got other shit. I mean, we only have 6 matches tonight, but pick up the pace, guys. Anyways, after that, we move on to Becky Lynch versus Charlotte Flair. Whoever loses leaves SmackDown.
Oh boy.
Oh boy. The bell rings and both women pace the ring around one another before locking up in the middle. Charlotte pushes Becky back into the corner and takes a step back and chops Becky. Becky sells us across the ring into a different corner. Once she gets there, Charlotte turns her around and chops her again. Becky attempts to sell across the ring again, but Charlotte this time just grabs a hold of Becky's hair and slams her down to the mat. Charlotte then stomps away at Becky for a little bit before starting to work on her legs. Charlotte starts wrenching on Becky's knee. After a few wrenches, Becky starts slapping the back of Charlotte's head to get her off. Charlotte lets go and gets up. She then walks towards Becky's head and just kicks her in the face. Charlotte walks away from Becky, who gets up and charges at Charlotte. Becky drives Charlotte from behind into the corner and is unleashing a barrage of punches to the back of her. The referee comes in and pulls Becky back, and as the referee is pulling Becky back, Charlotte charges in and big boots Becky. Charlotte then gets on top of Becky and starts delivering a series of punches. Becky eventually manages to roll on top of Charlotte and unleashes some punches of her own until Charlotte manages to escape under the bottom rope. Charlotte thinks she has some time and doesn't realize Becky followed her out. As Charlotte tries to walk away, Becky shoves her into the ring steps. She slams shoulder first into the steps, and Becky is quick to grab her and slam her face against the steps and then drag her over to the announce table. She then slams her face several times into the announce table before throwing her back into the ring. Charlotte lays on the mat as Becky gets back into the ring. As Becky gets to Charlotte, she attempts to pick her up, but Charlotte manages to roll her up instead. The referee counts 1, 2, kick out. Becky gets back to her feet quicker than Charlotte and charges back in, but Charlotte just chop blocks Becky as she gets close. Charlotte then starts working over the legs again of Becky. After a minute of attack, Charlotte starts trying to set up the figure four, but as she sets up the move, Becky just shoves her off. Becky then gets up and Charlotte charges in trying to hit a clothesline, but Becky just snatches the arm and attempts to go for the disarm her. Charlotte doesn't go down though and fights her way to the ropes to break the hold. Once Becky lets go, Becky just slaps Charlotte across the face. Becky taunts Charlotte in the middle of the ring and Charlotte charges in and they exchange blows. In the middle of the exchange, Becky attempts to go for the manhandle slam, but Charlotte manages to slip behind. Charlotte then chop blocks the back of Becky's knee, dropping her down to the mat. Charlotte then flips Becky over and locks in the figure four. Becky writhes in pain, and it seems like Charlotte is about to transition into the figure eight, but Becky rolls over. Charlotte then rolls them back over, and they do this again and again until they fall out of the ring, legs locked. They sell the fall to the ground for a moment, but are still locked in the figure four. Charlotte, after recovering for a bit, transitions the figure four into the figure eight. Becky writhes on the ground and manages to drag herself underneath the ring behind the apron. This also hides Charlotte's legs behind the apron. You see Charlotte go from a cocky smile holding this move into a face of pure pain and lets go of the hold. You're unable to see exactly what happened, but Becky crawls out from under the ring and slowly hobbles her way to her feet as Charlotte slowly gets up holding her knee. Both women roll back into the ring and are face to face on their knees. Charlotte chops Becky across the chest and Becky returns it with a punch. They go back and forth on this exchange until Charlotte rakes the eyes of Becky. Becky then turns away from Charlotte and Charlotte gets up to her feet and hobbles her way towards Becky and connects with a natural selection. Charlotte covers Becky. 1, 2, kick out. Charlotte doesn't seem like she is surprised by Becky kicking out and just shoves the face of Becky to the side. Charlotte slowly picks herself up in the corner as Becky does the same in the opposite corner. Both women slowly go towards the center of the ring and lock up yet again, but Becky surprises Charlotte and nails her with a manhandle slam out of nowhere. Becky doesn't immediately get into the pin and goes and takes a moment, but once she does, she goes to cover Charlotte, but Charlotte has maybe had too much time to recover and slowly rolls herself out of the ring. Becky quickly tries to crawl after her, but doesn't manage to catch up in time, and Charlotte lands on the floor. Uh, Becky seems defeated by this and slowly rolls out of the ring herself and struggles picking up the dead weight of Charlotte. She does eventually manage to get Charlotte back into the ring, but obviously it took a bit out of her to do so. Becky gathers herself and rolls back into the ring. Becky looks up and sees Charlotte is already starting to get up in the ring as well. Becky kind of slumps her head down before getting back to her feet. Both women then meet back in the middle of the ring and trade blows. Back and forth they go until it seems like Charlotte gets the advantage. Charlotte kicks Becky's bad knee, dropping her down to the mat. Charlotte then gets behind and goes for another natural selection, but Becky ducks it this time. Becky gets up and goes for the manhandle slam, but Charlotte elbows the side of Becky's head to get out. Charlotte then tries to double leg Becky, but Becky manages to get a hold of Charlotte's arm. After some fighting, Becky is able to lock in the disarm her. Becky wrenches back and Charlotte squirms around underneath her. Charlotte somehow scratches and claws her way over to the ropes and manages to break the hold. Becky holds on to the hold for a bit, and the referee has to pull her off. Charlotte slowly gets up using the ropes, and once the referee lets go of Becky, Charlotte charges in and spears Becky. She goes for the cover, but once again only gets a count of two. Charlotte decides she needs to capitalize now and puts Becky back in the figure four. She quickly transitions it into the figure eight. Becky is trying her best to get to the ropes, but Charlotte is able to hold her position towards the middle of the ring. Becky is beating on the knees of Charlotte, trying to get her to release the hold, but to no avail. After a couple of minutes of fighting, Becky finally taps out. After tapping out, Charlotte releases the hold and Becky just holds onto her knees. Charlotte seemingly is barely standing, but as she walks past Becky to leave the ring, she cleans her boots off in the direction of Becky. Charlotte wins. Becky is forced to leave SmackDown.
Let's go.
I
Charlotte
won't
didn't
lie.
lose a loser leaves match twice in a
So when we
row.
joked about that like last week, I almost changed what I was going to do in that match. I'm like, it'd be hilarious if we just made this a running gag. Like every year, she just loses a loser leaves match and has to go back and forth. It seriously crossed my mind. I was like, no, I have to stick to some plans here. It would have been funny though. Just every year, Charlotte like, just come on. Why am I always in these matches? Okay. After that, we move on to the tag team title match for
You know
SmackDown.
what? Wait.
But
Background. I forgot I had a backstage segment
oh, okay.
to set up my match.
Hmm.
Hold on. All right, backstage, see Bailey getting ready for her match tonight. She's then approached by Lola and Stephanie. Lola says, "Thanks for your help on Monday. I really appreciate it." Well, yeah, of course, no problem. You know me and Jordan have nothing but bad blood between us, so it's my pleasure. Stephanie says, "So have you thought about our offer? About joining us officially? We'll see how it goes tonight, then I'll make my decision. How about that? Sounds good with us?" They walk away. We stay on Bailey for a few more seconds. That's when we see Jordan Grace come in and completely blindside her, knocking her straight into the mirror at the makeup desk and just starts unloading on her. She hits a Grace driver onto the concrete. And this continues until we finally see security come in and separate her from Bailey. I come in and ask Bailey if she's fine and to still fight tonight. She says yes, but she's obviously very hurt. Okay, cool.
Alrighty. After that segment, we move into the tag match for SmackDown. AJ Styles and Ethan Page, the Phenomenal Egos, defending their tag titles against the New Day and the Authors of Pain. The match starts with AJ and Kofi in the ring. Both men sprint towards the middle and start trading blows. AJ manages to get the best of the exchange and drives Kofi towards the corner with Ethan Page. As they get to the turnbuckle, Ethan Page tags himself in and starts beating down on Kofi. After stomping away at him for a few moments, Ethan then gloats around the ring in the faces of AOP and Xavier Woods. Page continues to taunt Xavier, who tries to take a swing at Page, but Page avoids it. Page then turns around into a drop kick from Kofi. Kofi then crawls over and tags in Xavier's as Styles gets tagged in by Page. Styles and Woods go back and forth for a bit before AJ goes to throw Woods into the ropes. Woods reverse assists and throws Styles into the ropes, and as AJ hits the ropes, A-Cam tags himself in, which AJ doesn't realize. AJ clotheslines Woods and taunts the crowd before turning around and getting ran over by A-Cam. AJ just rolls out of the ring as A-Cam takes complete control of the match. He is just tossing Woods around until Woods gets thrown towards Kofi, who tags himself in. Unfortunately for Kofi, he suffers basically the same fate until he gets thrown towards Ethan Page. Kofi sees that he is close to Page, who very obviously does not want in this match, and tags him in anyways. Page just has this deer in the headlights look as Akam just laughs in the middle of the ring. Page slowly enters the ring, and Akam goes to charge in, but Page just ties himself up in the ropes to force the referee to pull Akam back. Page then sizes up Akam for a moment before boldly trying to single leg him. Akam just stands there as Page tries to take him down. Akam then just grabs Page by the waist and power bombs him onto the mat. Ethan then rolls out of the ring and meets up with AJ, Kofi, and Woods on the outside. Razor has now entered the ring, and the Phenomenal Egos and New Day have seemingly made a temporary alliance to take down AOP. All four go to slide into the ring, but only the New Day enters as the Phenomenal Egos pull back. The New Day try their best to put up a fight, but AOP easily have the control. As their backs are turned, Phenomenal Egos then enter the ring and chop block both Akam and Razor. The four men then beat down AOP before forcing them out of the ring. They clear off the announce tables and get Akam on one table and Razor on the other. We then see Kofi and Woods get back into the ring, climb different turnbuckles, and both dive off to put both members of the Authors of Pain through their respective tables. Phenomenal Egos celebrate with the New Day temporarily before throwing them into the turnbuckle post and the steel steps. Kofi goes into the post, Xavier goes into the steps. Ethan then slides Kofi back into the ring and goes for the cover. The referee, who after all the chaos seems to have forgotten that Kofi was not the legal participant and just goes with it. Kofi kicks out after two. Ethan then tags in AJ and whispers something into his ear. AJ takes control of the match for a bit as Page goes to the outside and grabs one of the tag titles. Back in the ring, Kofi is finding some momentum and drops AJ with a drop kick. Kofi then hits the ropes and connects with the boom drop and covers AJ, but AJ kicks out at 2. AJ rolls over to the apron as Kofi gets himself up. Ethan discreetly hands AJ the title, who hides it under himself. Ethan then gets up on the apron and starts arguing with the referee, which in turn also distracts Kofi. AJ gets up and is seemingly setting up to hit Kofi with the title, but Woods gets back on the apron and tries to take the title out of AJ's hands. AJ manages to muscle the title away from Woods and then hits him with a Pele kick, knocking him back off the apron. Ethan is putting on the performance of a lifetime in the meantime on the apron, as despite the hiccup from Woods, Kofi and the referee are still distracted by him. Kofi eventually turns around and gets nailed with a title across the face. Kofi is out on his feet as AJ throws the title out of the ring and then hits Kofi with a Styles Clash. AJ goes for the cover. One, two, three. Phenomenal Egos retain their titles.
All right. We get this short ass match. Not as short as the women's tag match, let me tell you. Uh, Bailey comes out all taped up, and then comes out Roxanne Perez limping from her last match and emotionally distressed after what happened earlier. She can barely focus on the task ahead of her because of Finn. The bell rings and both these women are slow to lock up. Rox has her legs taped up and Bailey has her abdomen covered. Bailey goes straight for the legs, but Rox is able to counter with strikes to Bailey's stomach. It's an even playing field. Bailey tries to get into Rox's head by saying, "So what happened to Finn? Sorry about that." "Don't talk about him!" Rox yells as she now charges Bailey. Bailey dodges. Rox turns around. She's hit with a quick Bailey to belly. Cover. 1, 2. Kick out. Bailey doesn't want to waste any more time here today, so she starts setting up for a rose plant. Rox rolls her up out of the position. 1, 2. Kick out. Bailey goes to get up. She gets hit with pop rocks. Rox is about to cover Bailey, but Bailey rolls out the ring. Rox takes a second to just catch her breath. Bailey starts getting back to the ring at the count of 8. Rox goes for her. Bailey grabs Rox's injured legs, however, and starts pounding away at them. That's when Bailey drags her to the middle of the ring and locks in a figure 4 leg lock. Rox is screaming in pain. She can't hold it much longer. She's about to tap when out of nowhere Jordan Grace appears and gets on the apron. This distracts the ref. Ref tells her she can't enter the ring. Bailey lets go of the hold. She goes to Jordan. They start arguing. That's when Bailey smacks the shit out of Jordan. Jordan gets off the mat. Bailey finally turns around. Rox kicks her in the gut. She hits a pop rocks. Cover. 1, 2, 3. Roxanne retains her championship in 2 matches this weekend.
Tragic. Cora and Roxanne can't keep up the lore of winning and dropping titles on the same night, on the same shows.
On the same night was not possible.
Yeah, I flipped the same shows.
We get the women's tag match. Can I come up with something on the spot? Tiffany getting her ass beat by Zarya until she finally is able to hit Zarya with a move big enough to knock her down. She goes for the hot tag, gets the hot tag. Alexa and Soul are now in the ring because Zarya also gets a tag. Alexa pins Soul. Sister Abigail, I'll protect Soul. Sister Abigail, uh, Alexa Bliss's first DDT, and then a Twisted Bliss, and then another Sister Abigail. There you go.
Okay.
Protected the shit
Tiffy
out of
Bliss.
her.
Tiffy Bliss time retains.
Main event time.
Main event time. I have talked so much today. Okay. Karrion Kross versus Seth Rollins versus Drew McIntyre for the World Heavyweight title. The bell rings and all three men just look at one another. Drew has this look of pure hatred across his face for Seth. Seth is surveying the ring trying to see what to do first. Then Kross has this sense of calm about him, which stands out since the odds are not in his favor to begin with, being in a triple threat. Especially again, his odds are even less in his favor, including the two men he is going against, two former world champs in Seth Rollins and Drew McIntyre. Seth attempts to speak to Drew about working together to take down Kross, and as he gets closer to Drew, Drew just nails Seth with a Glasgow kiss, and Seth rolls out of the ring. Kross and Drew then stare one another down before moving towards the center of the ring and trading blows. Drew tries to belly Kross in the middle of their exchange, but Kross cuts it off and starts delivering some knee strikes, forcing Drew back into the corner. Kross then starts stomping away at Drew in the corner until he is in a seated position, which he starts choking Drew with his foot. Seth enters the ring during this and pulls Kross back before unleashing an assault of kicks onto Drew. Kross just smiles in the background before grabbing Seth by the waist and German suplexing him back towards the center of the ring. Kross then starts kicking Seth in the face and taunting him as they slowly move to a turnbuckle. Jesus. Kross then starts kicking Seth in the face and taunting him. as they slowly move to a turnbuckle. Once Seth is seated in the turnbuckle, Cross starts choking him with his boot, just like what he was doing to Drew. As he does this, Drew comes from behind and attacks Cross. Cross, out of nowhere, grabs Drew and Saito suplexes him, and Cross takes a moment to recover. As he is getting up, Seth charges in and starts attacking Cross. Seth eventually throws Cross towards the ropes, but Drew is in the way and just catches Cross and belly to belly suplexes him over the top rope. Drew and Seth then slowly make their way towards the center of the ring and start trading blows. They go back and forth for a couple of minutes and seem to start slowing down until both get a burst of energy and give it their all until Drew connects with another Glasgow kiss. Seth sells this for a moment but returns the favor with an enziguri. Both men then drop to the mat and the crowd erupts in cheers. Cross slowly gets back up on the apron and gets back into the ring as both Seth and Drew start to stir. Cross goes to pick up Seth, but Drew hits the back of Cross's legs, so Cross then turns his attention to him. Cross goes to pick up Drew, and then Seth does the same thing. Seth and Drew then slowly make their way up, both beating down on Cross. They throw Cross towards the ropes, but Cross, upon his return, takes both men out with a double clothesline. Cross then picks Seth up and Saito suplexes him. He then does the same to Drew. Both men are now in seated positions in opposite corners. Cross charges across the ring and smashes his knee into the face of Drew, and then goes across the ring and does the same to Seth. Um, Cross decides he has had enough and heads over to Drew and puts him in the Cross jacket. Drew is fighting to stay in it, trying to get towards the ropes, but Cross has it locked in deep, and Drew is starting to fade. In a last ditch effort, Drew gets onto his hands and knees and attempts to stand up with Cross on his back. Seth sees this and charges in and manages to curb stomp both men. Seth goes for the cover on Cross, but Cross kicks out at 2. Seth then goes for the cover on Drew, but Drew manages to get his foot on the ropes. Seth is furious that this did not put the match away and turns his attention back to Karrion Cross. Seth is unleashing a barrage of punches. Uh, okay. Seth is unleashing a barrage of punches on Cross until he gets them up. Seth goes to throw Cross at the ropes, but Cross reverses this and takes a Cross reverses this, throwing Seth into the ropes and takes a quick breather before Seth comes back. Uh, as Seth comes back, he schoolboys Cross before super kicking him. This staggers Cross, and Seth picks him up and connects with a buckle bomb. Cross slowly staggers out of the corner, and Seth is right behind him as Drew charges in for a claymore. Cross manages to collapse down to the mat just as Drew comes flying in and nails Seth right in the side of the head with the claymore. Cross then rolls back over and locks in the cross jacket again on Drew, this time wrapping his legs around Drew's midsection to squeeze and drive all of the air out of him. Drew tries with all he can to reach for the ropes, but after fighting for a few moments, he seemingly passes out. The referee moves in and raises Drew's hand once, and it falls. The referee raises his hand again, and it falls for a second time. The referee raises his hand for the third time, and it falls down to the mat. As his hand hits the mat, Seth is starting to stir and sees Drew's hand hit the mat. And Cross is announced as a winner, and Seth has this look of pure frustration as Drew has cost them both the world title. Cross retains. That was just looking at a screen for too long. Could not read my own words.
uh,
That was bad. That was such bad reading.
oh, not as bad as mine. I'm gonna redo mine later on, not now.
I was just like, I got to like the halfway point in that match, and just it was falling apart in my head. These words that I've written, they are not in English.